Yi Jiao had been watching the three opponents without blinking. In a sudden motion, she shot onto the head of the massive scorpion formation, her lower body reverting into that of an ant queen as she merged completely with the colossal beast beneath her. Countless motes of light rose from the spirit insects, and an overwhelming aura surged forth, one that surpassed even the peak of great encompassment. The insects were burning their own life force to fuel the array. White radiance flooded Yi Jiao's eyes as her sense of self dissolved into the formation. With a sweeping gesture, both scorpion pincers struck out. Glacial chi roared through the air, freezing the azure-robed old man into solid ice, while torrents of green flame slammed into the purple-robed woman's fire, clinging to it and devouring it before surging onward. Walls of ice and seas of flame stood like twin gates before Jintong. Above them, Yin Wushuang halted mid-air, wisely abandoning any attempt to force his way through after glimpsing the scorpion's curved stinger. The formation's power far exceeded their expectations. Xuanyuan Jie frowned. He had hoped to avoid acting. Using law powers would hasten his assimilation with the heavenly Tao. But if matters dragged on and Kulin recovered her Tao ancestor status, the consequences would be dire. "Out of the way," he roared, stepping forward as earthy yellow light coiled into a massive vortex around his fist. At that instant, Qingfeng appeared behind him like a ghost, a dark green corkscrew spike thrusting viciously toward the back of Xuanyuan Jie's head. The devilish clouds still lingered, masking his presence, and the spike, his bonded third-tier immortal treasure, was meant to wound even a Tao ancestor. Yet the vortex vanished without warning. Replaced by a metallic sheen over Xuanyuan Jie's skull, Qingfeng's face changed. He retreated at once, abandoning the assassination and flashing beside the giant stone hand imprisoning Xuangbai. With a slash, he severed the law chains and dragged Xuangbai free. Xuanyuan Jie made no move to stop them, instead nodding faintly. "Your concealment laws are impressive. Even I failed to notice you, until you touched the ground." Qingfeng understood instantly. In the air, he could evade even a Tao ancestor. But against the Earth Tao, contact with land was fatal to concealment. Assassination was no longer possible. "I have no time for you now," Xuanyuan Jie said coldly. "After your master dies, you may yet live to serve me." With a sweep of his sleeve, the continent shuddered. Vast waves of earth surged toward Qingfeng and Xuangbai, crushing them under overwhelming restraint. Xuanyuan Jie turned back to the scorpion array, power gathering once more. Earth law light layered over his body as space trembled. With a thunderous roar, he punched forward, the vortex swelling 100-fold and charging like a cataclysmic storm toward Jintong. Heavenly Court cultivators scattered while the insect army surged ahead. In an instant, millions of spirit insects were obliterated. Trapped within the earthen tide, Qingfeng and Xuangbai could only watch in despair. At the center, Yi Jiao felt the storm's terror most clearly. Despair flickered, then resolve hardened. With a defiant roar, she ignited her own law powers. Every remaining insect burned its life force in a final blaze. The scorpion array unleashed its true might. The insects vanished entirely, leaving only points of light. Azure frost and white radiance flared from the pincers as seas of fire and ice crashed into the yellow vortex. A deafening boom split the heavens. Space twisted, then collapsed into a vast black hole, devouring frost and flame alike and plunging the extra heaven sphere into utter darkness. Nearly 20 breaths later, the void faded. The scorpion array was gone. All insects had turned to nothing. Only Yi Jiao remained before Jintong, half her body destroyed. "I did it," she whispered, blood spilling from her lips, joy shining in her eyes. That joy shattered instantly as a gigantic yellow fist projection burst forth, hurtling toward her. She did not flee. Failing her master, she would die beside her. Eyes closing, Yi Jiao accepted her end. Space itself crumbled under the sweeping earth laws, while Qingfeng and Xuangbai watched in helpless agony. Then a spatial rift tore open above her. A high zenith gold-devouring immortal burst forth, and atop it stood Han Li. He leapt down, appearing before Yi Jiao as he swept his sleeve. A colossal mantra treasured axis projection formed. Time Tao runes blazing as a pillar of light slammed into the incoming fist. The clash was soundless, yet the fist slowed, as if striking soft cotton. Han Li followed by releasing 72 azure bamboo cloud swarm swords. They plunged like golden dragons into the fist, exploding with thunderous lightning and tearing it apart. Yi Jiao stared in shock at the unfamiliar figure. From afar, Xuanyuan Jie's voice rumbled. "Who are you?" "I am Han Li," he answered calmly, hands behind his back. The golden axis returned to hover behind him, the sword circling in defense. "Han Li?" Xuanyuan Jie snorted. "Should I admire your courage or condemn your foolishness?" "You're Xuanyuan Jie," Han Li said evenly. "The one who forced Jintong to scatter her body all those years ago. Am I wrong?" "Jintong? You mean Kulin?" Xuanyuan Jie asked in surprise. "What is she to you?" "She is my spirit pet," Han Li replied calmly. Yi Jiao exploded in fury. "How dare you call our insect ancestor a spirit pet?" "Save your strength and recover," Han Li said coolly. "I can deal with Xuanyuan Jie. Hold off the other Heavenly Court cultivators." Yi Jiao fell silent as a terrifying aura surged from Han Li. Her heart trembled. Such profound fluctuations of the time Tao were unheard of. Xuanyuan Jie sneered. "I don't know why I even asked. Since you're here, I'll wipe you out as a bonus." Han Li answered with action. With a sweep of his sleeve, a colossal time-spirit domain unfurled, engulfing hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Instantly, the Heavenly Court cultivators slowed as if trapped in amber. Aside from Yin Wushuang's group, only a few could still move, and even they were crippled by the pressure. Xuanyuan Jie remained outwardly calm, but shock churned within him. How had Gu Huojin allowed this man to reach such mastery of time? His killing intent hardened. With a wave of his sleeve, the entire floating continent surged forward like a warship. Han Li responded by releasing his 72 azure bamboo cloud swarm swords, swordlight streaking toward Xuanyuan Jie. Xuanyuan Jie thrust his palms out. Yellow radiance bloomed, and the swords slid away as if striking polished ice. Han Li suddenly charged, empowered by the reversal true axis. Xuanyuan Jie welcomed the clash, until lightning flashed across Han Li's body and he vanished. In the next breath, Han Li reappeared atop one of the deflected swords. Xuanyuan Jie spun around, eyes sharp. This was no time technique. It was sword-linked teleportation. Standing behind him, Han Li slashed the air with 2 fingers. A golden tide infused with time power swept across the continent, suppressing the raging earth waves and freeing Shuangbai and Qingfeng. "Protect Kulin. Leave him to me," Han Li ordered. The two hesitated only briefly before rejoining Yi Jiao, clashing fiercely with Yin Wushuang's trio. The remaining Heavenly Court cultivators were still frozen within the time domain. Xuanyuan Jie scoffed. "A mere great encompassment dares challenge me." Yellow light surged from the continent beneath Han Li, binding him with immense suction. Xuanyuan Jie raised his fist and slammed it downward. The heavens roared. Thousands of asteroids tore through space, igniting into crimson flames as they fell like a meteor storm, each one empowered by Earth law. Han Li frowned and activated the heavenly baleful purgatory arts. His profound acupoints flared, and he wrenched one leg free. Xuanyuan Jie reacted instantly. 2 towering mountains rose and crashed inward. Han Li was crushed between them with a deafening boom. The continent shook as the mountains shattered. Yi Jiao's eyes dimmed. Whoever Han Li was to Jintong, his fall spelled despair. Then the sky ripped open. Spatial rifts yawned wide as the meteor storm descended, drowning the land in fire for nearly 20 seconds. When silence returned, the continent lay in ruins, cratered and burning. Xuanyuan Jie admired the devastation, then stiffened. From the shattered ground, a massive 6-armed figure rose, brushing off ash. 3 faces turned toward him. "That barely warmed me up." Han Li's 3 mouths spoke as one. "Now it's my turn." He assumed a fist stance, channeling the great 5 elemental illusion mantra. 5 streams of time law fused around him, black lines spreading across his body as radiant time treasures manifested behind his back. Xuanyuan Jie sensed mortal danger. He clasped his palms and closed his eyes. Yellow light poured from his body, dissolving into the air, leaving behind a strange, intangible presence. Though visible, he felt absent, merged with the Tao itself. Han Li felt awe flicker through him. So this was the Tao ancestor body. Integration with the heavenly Tao. But there was no time to hesitate. With a thunderous roar, Han Li unleashed all 6 fists. Black and golden fist shadows flooded the sky. At the final instant, Xuanyuan Jie's eyes snapped open, pupils replaced by hollow panels of earthen light brimming with boundless might. "The great Tao cannot be challenged by brute force," he roared, thrusting a palm forward. Space convulsed as a vortex of yellow light erupted, forming a towering golden wall that surged toward Han Li. Han Li's great five elemental annihilation fist crashed into the golden wall like a falling star, erupting instantly with terrifying force. Shockwaves roared outward in all directions, rattling the heavens themselves. The golden wall trembled violently, its surface splitting with countless cracks, yet it did not shatter. Instead, it rebounded the destructive force, hurling the shockwaves straight back at Han Li. Having just unleashed his strike, Han Li had no time to evade and was blasted backward through the air. Behind the wall, Xuanyuan Jie fared no better. The lingering time law fluctuations from the explosion wrapped around him, freezing his movements in place. At that moment, the 72 azure bamboo cloud swarm swords that had silently circled behind Xuanyuan Jie transformed into jade-like child figures, darting through the air to assemble into a sword formation. In the next breath, they reverted into colossal flying swords, each stretching 1,000 feet long. A thunderous boom echoed as a vast heavenly gate emerged from the darkness. Golden clouds churned endlessly around the sealed gate, and despite its closed doors, a fearsome lightning aura poured out, shaking the void. From afar, Yin Wushuang stared in disbelief. How could a cultivator of time laws command such overwhelming lightning through a mere sword array? What he did not know was that each azure bamboo cloud swarm sword was a third-tier immortal treasure infused with the lightning Kai's eye. Such a treasure was beyond even most great encasment cultivators. These 72 swords were akin to 72 such experts joining forces. Even as Han Li was still flung backward, the heavenly gate creaked open at his command. A torrential cascade of golden lightning surged forth, accompanied by countless lightning worms of varied hues, each clutching a lightning bead in its jaws. Thunder split the skies as spatial rifts tore open under the gate's might. Han Li stabilized himself and slammed his hands downward. The restraints within the gate vanished. Instantly, the lightning worms burst free in a frenzy, flooding the battlefield in a boundless sea of lightning. "Protect the insect ancestor!" Qing Feng shouted. He and the others abandoned their fights with Yin Wushuang's group and rushed toward Jin Tong. The golden vortex around her had dissipated, and no more gold-devouring beetles emerged from the rifts. Every beetle across the immortal realms had already returned to her. Yet she still hovered before the final threshold, unable to reclaim her Dao ancestor status. Yin Wushuang's trio retreated in panic, dread etched across their faces. The remaining Heavenly Court cultivators fled in all directions, while the unlucky were swallowed by lightning. The lightning worms converged relentlessly toward Xuanyuan Jie, their beads blazing with pure lightning true intent. Xuanyuan Jie's eyes flashed with murderous resolve. "If I don't kill you here, you'll become another Reincarnation Palace master." He formed a seal and began chanting. The entire extra heaven sphere resonated in response. Space within hundreds of thousands of kilometers froze for a heartbeat as deafening rumbles erupted. Han Li leapt upward in alarm just as the floating continent beneath him exploded, dissolving into a vast river of yellow earth law light. With a single punch, Xuanyuan Jie hurled the yellow river into the oncoming sea of lightning. Lightning worms detonated upon impact, forming massive vortexes that lit up the void once more. High above, lightning and earth laws clashed violently, whips of lightning tearing through space itself. The remaining Heavenly Court cultivators escaped into spatial rifts to save their lives. The shock waves were so fierce that even the space around Jintong began to fracture. Yi Zhao's group combined their strength to maintain a spherical barrier, but it was on the verge of collapse. In a flash, Han Li vanished and reappeared beside one of his swords. With a sweep of his sleeve, his 5 time law treasures burst forth. A complete world unfolded within the extra heaven sphere. Stars, mountains, rivers all taking shape. The 5 elemental illusory worlds spread across millions of kilometers, easing the pressure on Yi Zhao's group, though they still upheld their barrier with full focus. "You have truly angered me, Han Li," Xuanyuan Jie thundered. "Witness the true might of a Dao ancestor." "I've been waiting for it," Han Li replied calmly, a faint smile on his lips. Watching from afar, Yi Zhao felt awe stir within her. To challenge a Dao ancestor, one who had once surpassed the insect ancestor, was madness. In her eyes, Han Li's defeat was inevitable. Yet his smile in the face of such doom spoke of unyielding courage. In truth, Hanli's palms were slick with sweat. His calm was a mask, meant to provoke Xuanyuan Jie into revealing his full power. Only then would victory be possible. As the lightning sea and earth river faded, gaping black holes remained, refusing to close. Xuanyuan Jie strode forward, each step sending waves of golden light across the void with thunderous booms. His eyes were empty of emotion, strange runes spinning within them. Invisible waves of earth law meaning radiated endlessly outward. Han Li felt it clearly. Xuanyuan Jie had merged with the earth itself, his will aligned with the heavenly Tao. Xuanyuan Jie halted. An immense suction force erupted from his body, pulling at the entire extra heaven sphere. Golden light rippled over him as all traces of humanity vanished, leaving only the presence of an ancient god born with heaven and earth. Instead of fear, excitement flared in Han Li's eyes. This was the moment. At Han Li's command, the 72 sword spirit youths reversed course, streaking through the void to encircle Jintong and Yi Zhao's trio. In the same breath, a colossal lightning formation flared into existence, and amid a thunderous flash, the four figures vanished from sight. Having sent them beyond danger, Han Li remained suspended in the air. He crossed his legs and fully unleashed the great five elemental illusion mantra. Above him, a golden moon blazed with splendor, while the star cluster born of the time-severing torch shimmered fiercely, unwilling to yield its brilliance. The clear time vial poured forth a roaring river of time that coiled around him, the illusory dawn sand mountains expanding without restraint as the eastern vicissitudes divine trees forest erupted in wild growth. Within his spirit domain, time accelerated 100-fold. Instantly, torrents of earth law power surged from the surrounding heavens into Xuanyuan Jie's body. Deafening rumbles echoed below as an entire continent from some distant immortal realm tore free and ascended, piercing through the ethersphere, the astral sphere, and rising toward the extra heaven sphere. In the lower layers, countless streaks of light fled in panic. Higher up, only a sparse few remained. By the time the landmass reached the extra heaven sphere, it crumbled apart, dissolving into a boundless sea of earth law power that poured straight into Xuanyuan Jie. As that power gathered, Xuanyuan Jie's aura grew ever purer, drifting farther from mortal flesh and closer to the heavenly Tao. He instinctively resisted, yet his affinity with earth law was already too deep, and the power continued to flood him regardless of his will. "Take more!" Han Li roared, forcing his time law power into the domain without restraint. Threads of time law shattered one after another, dissolving into pure essence and merging with space itself. Time surged even faster. In an instant, all the earth law power within the spirit domain was devoured by Xuanyuan Jie. Even the countless asteroids of the extra heavensphere began to collapse, further feeding him. At last, the decisive moment arrived. Behind Xuanyuan Jie, an immeasurable vortex formed, its edges beyond sight. It embodied the primal earth beneath the heavens, surging forth like a boiling spring to engulf him. A trace of clarity flickered in Xuanyuan Jie's empty eyes, yet it came too late. The heavenly Tao had already laid claim. "Stop!" he screamed, struggling desperately against the vortex, but escape was impossible. Han Li, too, was suffering. His time law power was burning away at a terrifying pace, his body showing signs of collapse. Still, his resolve did not waver. He knew this was not yet enough. Only by accelerating time further and exhausting every last trace of his power could the heavenly Tao's assimilation be completed. "Han Li, your great Tao opposes the time Tao ancestors. A clash between you is inevitable. Stop now, and I will help you." Xuanyuan Jie pleaded in despair. "You expect me to believe that?" Han Li replied coldly. "I swear an unbreakable vow." Xuanyuan Jie howled. For a fleeting instant, Han Li hesitated. To gain a Tao ancestor of the five elements would be an immense advantage. Yet the thought vanished as quickly as it arose. No vow could truly bind such an existence. His gaze hardened, and he continued to burn his time law power, pushing Xuanyuan Jie toward ruin. Seeing his pleas fail, Xuanyuan Jie descended into curses, then into mad laughter when he realized Han Li's reserves were running dry. He threatened unspeakable torment once Han Li collapsed, his ravings echoing across the extra heaven sphere. By then, Han Li could barely hear him. His vision blurred, and the five elemental illusory world teetered on the brink of collapse. At that instant, a voice sounded within his mind. Shall I lend you strength? Senior vile spirit? No, who are you? Hanli asked in alarm. I am you, and you are me. My self-corpse soul! Hanli realized, ever since reaching the pinnacle of great encompassment, he had searched for it, and now, at the limits of his body, it had awakened. I do not seek your body, the voice said calmly. Your will is mine. In the next moment, Hanli felt his depleted power begin to recover. His self-corpse soul poured its strength into him, restoring nearly half his time law reserves. Yet that brief reprieve allowed Xuanyuan Jie to sever his connection with the heavenly Tao. Half his body had vanished, the rest turning to stone, leaving him barely better off than Chen Tuan. Han Li! Xuan Jie roared in fury. Before he could act, a streak of golden light flashed behind him. Jin Tong appeared in her colossal gold-devouring beetle form, opening her jaws to reveal a vast golden vortex brimming with terrifying law power. Xuanyuan Jie tried to flee, but Han Li was faster. He flashed to Xuanyuan Jie's side and slammed a palm onto his crown. Golden light infused with time law froze him for a heartbeat, just long enough. In the next instant, Jin Tong swallowed him whole. A final indignant scream was cut short. Thunderous rumbles shook Jin Tong's body as Xuanyuan Jie struggled within, but she remained unmoved, swiftly returning to her human form. Her appearance had matured greatly, her aura deep and tranquil, vortex-like light swirling in her eyes. Your aura, Han Li began. It's not fully stabilized yet, but it will be, Jin Tong replied calmly. I should have devoured part of the extra heaven sphere, but consuming him instead will take time. After a pause, she added softly, You saved me again. Han Li frowned. Why didn't you tell me you were preparing to break through? That was reckless. Yi Zhao's trio arrived just in time to hear this, stunned that anyone would dare scold the insect ancestor so openly. Sensing the bond between them, they quietly sat down to recover instead of interrupting. Jin Tong hesitated, then pressed a hand to her abdomen, her expression changing. Xuanyuan Jie is resisting inside me, she said. Do you need help? Han Li asked. Not now. Inside my body his end is inevitable. It's just that his earth law essence will be troublesome to digest. Han Li glanced around. This battle has surely drawn attention. Suppress him for now. I'll take you somewhere safe to cultivate in seclusion. After a moment's hesitation, Jin Tong nodded. Han Li turned to Yi Zhao's trio. You may leave. I'm taking Jin Tong to recover. Only after Jin Tong confirmed did they depart. Han Li then recalled his azure bamboo cloudsworm swords, sat cross-legged in the void, and swallowed several pills to restore his strength. Within a floating golden palace of the heavenly court, torrents of violent energy churned without cease, grinding the surrounding void into an ethereal haze. Though radiant in hue, the palace bore no trace of luxury, instead resembling an ancient Taoist sanctuary. Its gates were sealed tight as heavy, muffled impacts echoed from within, the structure trembling as unrest rippled through space. Suddenly, the turmoil vanished, the gates burst open, and Guhuojin strode out into a boundless golden expanse, a realm without earth or horizon, where enormous star-like orbs drifted, shining in myriad colors. With a flick of his sleeve, a yellow scroll adorned with golden dragons appeared. The dragons awakened, unfurling the scroll to reveal countless names glowing with varying brilliance. Near the top, one name had turned completely gray, Xuanyuan Jie. So he has fallen, Guhuojin murmured, golden beams flaring from his eyes. The scroll blazed as Xuanyuan Jie's name expanded into a vast spatial passage, instantly revealing the precise region of the extra heaven sphere where Han Li and Jin Tong resided. The insect ancestor has returned, and she's not alone, Guhuojin noted calmly. At that same instant, Han Li's eyes snapped open. Without hesitation, he swept his sleeves like lightning. 10 golden sword projections shot forth, vanishing beyond space and time, while a burst of golden light wrapped around Jin Tong. A colossal golden palm, tens of kilometers wide, descended from above. Time law power erupted, freezing all beneath it. Yet Han Li's lightning teleportation flared first, carrying both of them away in a flash before time could bind them. The palm struck regardless, annihilating space, time, and matter in utter silence. Golden waves erasing everything across millions of kilometers. Moments later, beneath a hovering lightning sword above a desolate primordial desert near the Dragon Abyss Immortal region, Han Li and Jin Tong reappeared. So it's the same strike that slew Master Miro. Guhuojin has found me. Anxiety flickered in Han Li's heart, mingled strangely with exhilaration. That just now? Jin Tong asked, shaken. Gu Huojin, Xuanyuan Jie's death drew his gaze. Han Li replied grimly. Back in the heavenly court, surprise crossed Gu Huojin's face. Such speed, nearly rivaling Shi Kongyu. Yet the scroll shifted again, revealing Han Li's new position. Gu Huojin formed a seal and struck forward. Han Li, wary despite having erased all traces and crossed nearly an entire immortal region, prepared another teleport. But before he could finish, a second golden palm crashed down, faster than before. Barely in time, Han Li vanished again in lightning, reappearing beneath an azure bamboo cloudswarm sword above the heavenly river immortal region. Without pause, he teleported repeatedly, scattering dozens of sword shadows into space. After more than a dozen frantic escapes across multiple immortal regions, they finally arrived in a land of decayed soil and choking miasma. This should be enough. A third golden palm descended, swifter still. Golden rays suddenly filled the air, severing Han Li's connection to all his flying swords. His expression hardened, yet his hands moved with flawless calm. Golden radiance surged outward, forming a vast spirit domain, within which his 5-time law treasures manifested and evolved into a miniature world. The palm fell. Time froze everywhere, except within Han Li's domain, which seemed to exist apart from reality. The impact drove it into the earth like a falling star, shattering the continent below as lava erupted skyward. Cracks spread across the domain, but it endured. Han Li spat blood as pressure crushed down upon him. In the heavenly court, Gu Huojin's eyes gleamed with genuine surprise. A bell-shaped mark formed upon the golden palm, swelling as it closed tightly around the spirit domain, intent on pulverizing it. The cracks widened rapidly as Han Li fought to reinforce it. With a thunderous boom, a massive golden heavenly gate manifested within the domain. Memories flashed of past battles, of innocent lives lost to collateral destruction. This time, Han Li refused to draw power from other realms. That single thought of restraint and compassion drew unseen karmic force. Enlightenment struck like lightning. The great 5 elemental illusion mantra unfolded with unprecedented clarity. 5 golden lights emerged from the gate, aligned with the 5 elements. As the gate opened, an endless flood of golden radiance poured forth, merging with the spirit domain. The heavenly Tao granted even greater power than before, instantly stabilizing the fractures. Ecstasy flashed through Han Li's eyes. The 5 lights surged outward, fusing into the immortal golden cloud, which rose to meet the crushing palm. Beside him, Jin Tong transformed to her gold-devouring immortal form, unleashing countless translucent golden streams that converged into a towering pillar of light, smashing into the golden hand. Together, their power halted the palm's descent. As more golden light flowed through the heavenly gate, the cracks in the spirit domain rapidly sealed, standing firm against the might of the heavenly court.